What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Perfectly Blended Podcast, Season 5, Episode 18. Today is actually a pretty fun one that we got going on. It is talking about the 5 languages of apology. And that's coming up
right now.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Perfectly Blended Podcast. This podcast is for blended families, for couples that want to strengthen their marriage and want a brighter future. Perfectly Blended exists to break the stigma of divorce, drop the shame and guilt holding you back, and equip marriages to thrive instead of just survive. We believe all that is possible in this life is based on the power of Jesus Christ and His ability to restore us fully. Let's dive in. What is up, everybody? Welcome to today's show. I'm one of your hosts, Josh, here with the always wonderful Miss Christy.
You didn't say beautiful today.
Beautiful, wonderful.
What the crap?
Most lovely. Tell us what's on your mind.
Hi.
Hi. That's on my mind.
Okay, so I always like to toot my own horn when it comes to podcast ideas.
Beep, beep.
And hi, Christina. I thought about this because I stumbled across it a while ago, actually, and had taken my apology. I want to call it the apology love language, but it's the apology language. And I thought it was really interesting that Gary Chapman, he's the author of the 5 love languages, came out with the 5 apology languages. And I think it's just fun to do with your spouse, especially to find out how you best accept apologies, but also how you would need to give it to your spouse. So I think it's beneficial if you look at it as a tool to grow your relationship.
As a tool, yes, this is interesting because I didn't know this until Christy found it. Yeah, she stumbled across it. Of course, Gary Chapman wrote the 5 love languages, which Christy talked about just a second ago.
Mm-hmm.
We had an encounter with Mr. Chapman and his wife, which they were really cool people. A couple years ago, we went to a marriage conference, and actually he was one of the keynotes there.
He's going to be again next year, too. I want to go.
Yeah. So it was really neat. Get to know the guy, the man, the myth, the legend. Get to talk to him for a few minutes. But
his wife's even better.
She's the myth, the legend herself.
Yeah.
So it was interesting anyway to talk to them, but to get to know them and then know that there was other things other than just the 5 love languages. I'm actually gonna put it in the chat right now. There's actually a link that you could take the quiz.
Yeah, and it's free.
I want to make sure it's free.
Who doesn't like free?
Free. It is free. So it's going to make sure that I put it on here for you guys. You can click on the link and you can go there and take it. And it's pretty cool. So apology love languages, as Christy says. Apology love.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to dive into today.
So what should we do first, though? Should we tell them what ours is, or should we talk about the 5 different ones? Let's talk about the 5 ones
Yeah,
first.
let's talk about the 5 ones first. So I'm going to bring up on the screen, I have handy dandy slide here that I can bring up. Boom. This is talking a little bit about what they are. So if you want to explain it to everybody, my wife.
Do
it up.
The 5 different ones are expressing regret, which is, I apologize or I'm sorry.
Yep.
Number 2 is accepting responsibility, saying I was wrong, you were right, type of thing. Number 3 is making restitution. So it'd be like, what can I do to make it right?
Mm-hmm.
Number 4 is genuinely repenting. Like, I'll try not to do that again. Number 5 is requesting forgiveness. So actually asking, like, will you forgive me? Like asking the person. So that one to me was the most interesting because the person wants the person to say, they want to let them know whether or not they forgive them.
Yeah, that sounds kind of a little codependent.
Yeah. Like,
doesn't it?
Like, I need you to ask me whether or not I forgive you.
Right. That
so, but yeah,
odd.
those are the 5.
Yeah, that does seem a little odd to me too. But it is interesting. So if you're on right now, or if you see this in the replay, let us know in the comments if you've ever taken this before, and if you know your type. Like, I'm really curious to know, or if you've ever even heard of it before. Like, I'm really curious.
Why don't you read a little bit about one, and I read a little bit about one? Or
okay.
Do you want me to do? Or were you going to do something else?
No. I was going to go through them, but the way that I have them set up is it starts with expressing regret. So if you want to flip to that one,
yeah.
So go ahead.
Expressing regret is the apology language that zeroes in on the emotional hurt. It is an admission of guilt and shame for causing pain to the other person. So Josh can elaborate on this a little bit. But above all, expressing regret takes ownership of the wrong. For that reason, expressing regret is understood as a sincere commitment to repair and rebuild the relationship. It speaks most clearly when the person offering the apology reflects sincerity, not only verbally, but also through body language, unflinching eye contact, and a gentle but firm touch are two ways that body language can underscore sincerity.
Yeah, so I actually like giving apologies this way. I actually prefer giving the apology this way, right? So it's a big thing for me. I want to make sure that I'm placing eye contact. I actually did this just with Christy not too long ago. I did it in our kitchen. And I had to stop her.
I can talk about this.
What's that?
I can tell the story when you're done.
Well, tell it. I'll go ahead. Just tell the story then. There's no reason for me to say it than you to tell the story.
It's so funny because I was actually just talking to someone else, a girl, about this the other day. I said, you want to know what I find is interesting is that, and this could be a whole nother podcast, so I just did something.
Oh my gosh. There you go.
This could be a whole nother podcast, but she was like, oh, interesting. I started thinking how men and women are so different, right? And so he did something that was not on purpose. You know, there was a miscommunication with some finances of ours, and plans that I had for the weekend and his plans for the weekend were different. I thought we were on the same page. He thought we were on the same page. Well, he said, I'm sorry. You know, on my way home from work, we're on the phone. He's like, I'm sorry. And then I get home from work and it's like business as usual, right? He's out cooking and life's going on and all this stuff's happening. And I was really upset, like hurt about it. But I didn't say anything because I do, you know, Josh and I, we've talked about on the podcast before, you have to take your thoughts and actually put truth in there. Like not listen to like, oh man, he's not even really sorry. Like it's no big deal to him, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't realize how important it was to me, all this stuff. Instead by saying like, no, he is sorry. Like I know my husband, he's probably sorry. So a couple days went by. And I said something to him and I'm like, you want to know what I think is interesting that I started thinking about? Like not just that one, but I started thinking about men in general and any apology I've ever gotten from a man based on my apologies too, or a female apology.
You were telling this to Josh, to my son in the kitchen.
Oh yeah. Okay.
He said, you want to know something, Josh, about women?
No, seriously though. I actually thought it was really interesting. Because men, I do believe, like if they screw up something, if they're apologizing for the most part and they are sorry, and they're like, hey, I'm really sorry. They are sorry. They feel like they're sorry. But with men, that's it. Like they're sorry. It's kind of like, why do I have to tell her she's pretty all the time? I married her. She should know I love her. You know, I shouldn't have to tell her
Apparently
I love her.
She's pretty. I married her 11 years ago.
Like, I shouldn't have to tell her I love her all the time. Okay, she's my wife. You know, type of thing. But I think that's sometimes how they think. They're just like, I am sorry. I said, I'm sorry. Like, what else do you want me to do? I said, I'm sorry. And women are more like, there's no remorse in that, right? So women are more like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry, babe. No, seriously, I need you to know. And guys are like, yeah, I understand. I get it. All right. And we're like, no, I'm serious though.
I need you to tell me.
I'm so sorry. Like, I am just really sorry. I feel awful. I am like guilt, shame, you know? And I think that's the difference between men and women. And it was epiphany for me. Well, literally, this is how much my husband loves me. About 20 minutes passed and he came walking up to me and I was in the kitchen. He's like, hey, I need you to look at me for a second. And I turned, I looked at him and he made like unwavering eye contact.
Just like the rule said.
And seriously, it did. You did it very well. We hadn't even read this.
No, I didn't even know it.
And it's like, and there was gentle but firm, you know, touching. And he was like, I really want you to know that I am very sorry. I'm being serious. And he was staring me dead in my peepers, right? And that meant a lot to me because that made me feel like he truly was sorry. But I found that interesting, though. That could be a whole nother podcast, like I said, though, about men and women in and of themselves, how their apologies are different.
It is different. And I understand there's men that possess things much like a woman when it comes to apologies and vice versa. You know,
Generally.
But generally, I think you're right. Yeah. I think, and that's where the struggle really comes in, I think, though, is when there really is this mega polar opposite of apology. And I think that's what's so powerful, though, in talking about this.
Yeah.
Is that, it's really funny. So for years, I would tell Christy, oh, I'm sorry. I apologize for that. And she would just cringe at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't understand what the problem was. And then later she was just like, I don't appreciate that you say apology. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't appreciate it? She's like, I don't find that to be a real, I'm sorry,
I don't.
I apologize sounds corporate, and it's like, okay, well, that's not my intention, but the apology isn't for me. It's for you. So I want to make sure that I'm saying it in a way that you desire it. Right. So that's what's so important about the apology thing, because guys are quick to move on for the most part. Now we can hold some grudges, guys can get into that and really hold on, especially if it attacks our manhood or our pride. It's a whole different story, but that's why it's so important that we talk about this though. But expressing regret is something that I like to do. It makes me feel like I'm being authentic in expressing my apology.
It's it makes me feel better than you. I apologize better than you.
I'd apologize. Did about the book. Right.
Oh,
all right. God. So let's go to the next one. I'm going to click it on the screen here so we can have it. All right. So let's move it on. Let's see here. We'll get rid of that one and bring this one up. Which one is it?
Request forgiveness. Do you want to read this one?
Well, I'll read it. All right. In some relationships, a mate wants to hear their partner physically ask for forgiveness. They want assurance that their mate recognizes the need for forgiveness. Asking for forgiveness shows that you realize you've done something wrong and that you are willing to put the future of the relationship in the hands of the offended mate. Requesting forgiveness is not easy. It often leaves one vulnerable to rejection. Many people have a hard time seeking forgiveness because it means admitting that you have failed, which is hard. The only way to overcome this fear is to recognize that it is very common amongst mankind. The commonality makes it okay to be a failure. It allows a stubborn mate to apologize to their partner and become a healthy individual. Ultimately, it's important to remember that there is a difference between asking for forgiveness and demanding forgiveness, which is really easy to do. When we demand forgiveness, we tend to forget the nature of forgiveness. Forgiveness is a choice, right? And then remember not to treat forgiveness lightly. It is something to be cherished and appreciated. The act of forgiveness is hard on both ends for the person who's asking and for the person who's accepting.
So that's the next language. So let's recap really quick. So apology language. One is expressing regret. Another is request forgiveness is the one that we're on now.
Yeah.
And this one, neither one of these are apology language. Because Josh and I have taken the test. We'll review those, like we said in the beginning, later. But requesting forgiveness is like going up and saying, hey, I know that I did this wrong. Will you forgive me?
Yeah.
And I probably should need to start doing that just to grow me as a person, even though that's not your language.
No, it's a weird one to me, though.
Yeah, I know, because I'm like, I've never asked.
Because it feels really fake to me, though.
Well, and to be honest, Josh and I run, as you guys know, a recovery ministry, and some of this goes against that. So in recovery, you have to learn to offer forgiveness, one, to maybe to an apology that you never receive. But also number two, if the roles are reversed, if you are supposed to go make amends to people, the making amends is for you. It's releasing that hate. It's releasing that shame. It's releasing that guilt. And it really doesn't matter what they say back to you. Now, we're talking about marriage, and you guys should forgive each other and work through all of that stuff in general. But having to go up and say, will you please forgive me? I don't know. It seems groveling to me.
It feels it feels weak to me for some reason. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, I just don't like that one. I'm glad that's not his apology language.
It almost feels like begging, and I don't know what it is. I don't know.
I like that.
We're just not like that. We're just not. I don't know. I don't feel like we're too stubborn to be that way.
No.
But I just feel like it's weird if someone comes to me and says, "Look, I really need you to accept my apology." I'd be like, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I wouldn't be that way. But I mean, I would be thrown off by it. It's just a really odd one.
It is. And some people, I think they want to make sure you say that you forgive them because they feel like you wouldn't be able to hold it over their head in the future. Yeah. Or, that's why it says right here, asking for forgiveness and demanding forgiveness are two different things.
Sure.
Because I think it's fair. I mean, I guess it's just what season of your life you're into, because it's Celebrate Recovery. If you're in recovery, if someone comes up and asks, Like, will you forgive me? If you're not ready to forgive that person, you have to say, I'm not saying I won't eventually. I need to work towards forgiveness in my own life, but I'm not to a place where I can forgive you right now.
That's a different level too. That's not asking for forgiveness. That's making an amends.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not for them anyway. It's for you.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not requesting anything.
Yeah.
I'm giving it to you and you can do what you want with it.
We don't like this one.
If you do not get that by now, I'm really sorry. Okay, we're moving past
Request forgiveness. If you have a different viewpoint on it, by
Please
all
do.
means, because
It's
we
probably
obviously
yours.
have a closed mindset about this.
It's probably yours and you now hate us. So will you accept our apology? Oh, man. That's rotten.
That's so bombshell right there.
That's
just
rotten to
like
the core.
so.
Okay, so make restitution.
Okay, so this is my apology language.
Christy loves this one. But show me.
No. So, in our society, many people believe that wrong acts demand justice. So the one who commits the crime should pay for their wrongdoing. So a mate who speaks this love language feels the same way towards apologies. They believe that in order to be sincere, the person who is apologizing should justify their actions. The mate who's been hurt simply wants to hear that their mate still loves them. See? Because I am codependent.
Yeah.
The mate who's been hurt simply just wants to hear that their mate still loves them.
Sure.
There are many effective ways to demonstrate sincerity in an apology. See?
There is.
Sincerity.
Mm-hmm.
Each mate must learn the other's love language in order to complete the action of
This
rest.
one's too different. This is a
Of
complex
course, this
one.
is mine.
It's like the Rubik's Cubes of apologies.
Of course, this is the way that I'd want people to give me an apology.
Let's figure it out. You're wrong. You're wrong. So funny.
Every mate should uncover what their partner's main love language is, whether it's words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, on, and use that specific language in order to make the restitution in the most effective way. See?
Sure. That is incorrect. You are incorrect today. Your apology is not accepted.
I love it.
This is so hurt.
For a mate whose primary apology language is making restitutions, no matter how often you say, I'm sorry or I was wrong, your mate will never find the apology sincere.
This is making my eyes water because this is so true.
You must show strong efforts for making amends. Yes, a genuine apology will be accompanied by the assurance that you still love your mate and have a desire to right the wrongdoings committed. Which you did. You ended up doing.
It's just a lot of mud chucking, right? A lot of apology chucking. You just got to throw it and you're like, denied. Okay, let me try a different one. That one's a keeper. All right, good. So
That's making restitution.
it is funny. It is a very
That's why
complex one, though, isn't it?
And I am complex.
But I okay. So let's just be honest, right? So I say complex, not because she's difficult, but because it takes a lot for her to
I'm
know
not
that
difficult,
you're truly
I'm complex.
right. So, but my point is I think it's really important to see through this right now and understand, like, it takes real sincerity, and you have to go through a lot of hoops to make sure, like, you're really actually apologizing for the right you're saying you're sorry for the right reasons, right? Your apology means something. And I think that's really what that means. At least
That's very good. You took all of this right here and just took it right down.
just as long as I know my girl, that's all. Christina says, in our relationship, sometimes an apology is coming back to just having a conversation, sometimes because he's not a huge conversationalist, which is typical of guys, until it's the worst of worst fights. Christina, that's so true. That's exactly right. Sometimes it just opens an opportunity to have a deeper discussion. That's solving the problem, which is really good.
He probably gets so sick of this. I wish I could record how many times I say this because I don't even know. I'll say something to him and I can tell on his face like that. And I'm like, no, seriously, I just want to talk about it. I say that all the time, don't I?
Yeah.
No, seriously, I just want to talk about it. I just want to talk about it.
Let's just talk about
And
it.
he's like, oh my God.
Sounds like myself. I just want to know that I'm still loved. Absolutely. It's because women need to be loved. Men need to be respected, and I think when it comes to an apology, it's very different typically for men and women. Like Christy said earlier, it's typically the same thing. And women need to know, hey, you still love me. You're not just giving me an apology to, number one, have fun later, or number two, to stop talking about this, because men are that way. We're driven by both of them things. I mean, science will tell you that women talk double the amount of words per day than what a man does. They just want to talk, and because they really want to be heard, and I believe that to be true.
Well, I mean, my son, my oldest son, he's 20 years old. I was just talking to him yesterday, and I was saying something to him and complaining about his room, okay, which is rare. I don't usually say much because I don't like the responses that I get. But I was saying something about his room, about how dirty it was, and I got done being like, your room, blah, 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 and he's just like, okay. And I literally was like, is that an okay, shut up, Mom? Or okay, I'm going to start doing it, Mom? And he's like, I never said shut up. I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, what are you saying okay for?
Use your words.
Are you just saying okay basically to get me to quit talking? Or are you saying okay because you're actually going to start cleaning your room?
And he was smart enough, the kid, to say what?
Okay, that I'll start cleaning my room.
I'm going to tell everybody that's on here right now, that is not what he meant. That is not what he meant. But see, Mama...
But he's a male.
...needed a specific type of restitution in this, right? She needed to know he was going to give the right answer. That's what she needed to know, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because you need to make sure that you felt loved and respected.
You're not getting away with the okay anymore.
Yeah, you're not giving me the K. I will punch you in the face. So, make restitution. Hang on, let me get to the next one. Don't you be flipping.
Okay.
Don't flip. Let me get to it. So, that's the make restitution one. And then we have... Yep, plan change, right? Is that correct? That's correct. Okay. So, plan change.
We can both kind of talk about this one because the next one I want you to talk about that one because this one's yours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So plan change. For some individuals, planned change is the convincing factor in an apology. Some mates will doubt the sincerity of an apology if it is not accompanied by their partner's desire to modify their behavior to avoid the situation in the future. Admitting you are wrong creates vulnerability. It allows your mate to get a glimpse of your heart. The glimpse of true self is assurance that the apology was sincere.
So... I'm going to go off script here a little bit.
Do it.
Reading this. If I would have read these beforehand, like read all 5 of the apology languages, I would have guessed that this one would have been mine.
Me too.
Because I want to know, which I guess, I mean, my need to be loved and want to be loved is higher because of, my childhood trauma and stuff that I went to. So that's probably why it outweighed it, which I wouldn't have put into that much thought into this until I saw the outcomes, because I would want to know, like, yeah, you hurt me, but how are you going to make sure that you don't do it again?
Show me you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Again.
Show me you're not going to hurt me again. So I would have bet it was this. So part of this too is one important aspect of plan change is verbalizing your desire to change because your mate can't read your mind. It is also important to make a dedicated plan for change. Often apologies involving change fail because the person never establishes the steps of action to help ensure success. Take baby steps towards change instead of insisting on changing, all of that.
Yeah, but I'm not even going to need to read the last end of it, but I have something really big I think is important. I think when we look at this or when you take this, it really just depends on what season of life you're in. With Christy and I, we've proven over time that when we really are sorry for something or we really apologize for something, we do it with our changed behavior because that is really important to us. So I think maybe the way we take the quiz now, that's got to impact the result, because I think to myself too, this is the only thing I believe in, right? But that's apparently not true because I took the quiz and the quiz told me it's something a little bit different. But I don't worry when Christy tells me that she's sorry for something. I don't worry that she's telling me that she's giving me the shut up, right? I don't ever get that. I don't believe that. I believe that she actually truly cares about whatever was done and that she doesn't want to do it again. And I can trust in that 100%. Not that she's perfect. I mean, she's about as close as you could get, but I know she's going to change, whatever the behavior is. And then she will work on really hard. Like there's things that's happened in our past, where she has said something and then she has never said it again, ever, not one time.
Yeah.
Not one single time. And
because I'm stubborn too.
But I look at that as change.
Yeah.
And you can swear by it. So
yes.
Plan change. So anyway, so we think we are plan changers. And I think we are to a certain degree, but let's move on. Let's see what ours is.
Yours is the next one because it's the 5th one.
Let me It is. Oh, yeah. That's right. It's accept responsibility. See? So this was mine, right? So accept responsibility is very difficult for some people to admit that they're wrong.
Which, of course, this is his apology language because this is probably the hardest one for me to do. Besides, will you accept my apology? That one would probably be harder. So this is the fourth hardest one for me to do.
It makes them doubt their self-worth, and no one likes to be portrayed as a failure.
No.
Dun, 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 dun. However, it's my apology. However, as adults, we must all admit that we make and will make mistakes. We are going to make poor decisions that hurt our mates.
Yeah.
And we are going to have to admit that we were wrong. We have to accept responsibility for our own failures. For many individuals, all they want is to hear the words, I am wrong. Oh, that's like songbirds.
Sorry, babe.
Songbirds to my heart. If the apology neglects accepting responsibility for their actions, many partners will not feel as though the apology was meaningful and sincere.
I need to get better at it.
Many partners need to learn how to overcome their ego, their desire to not be viewed as a failure, and simply admit that their actions were wrong. For a mate who speaks this apology language, if an apology does not admit fault, it is not worth hearing. Dun, 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 dun.
That's so sad for me.
Being sincere in your apology means allowing yourself to be weak and admitting that you make mistakes. You know, the thing is with this one is huge for me, right? But the thing is I have an ability to look past this stuff, especially with Christy. Only a few people that I'm really good at looking past this because I know her heart. And so, which probably lets her off the hook a lot of times with stuff. But I'm willing to look past my need is in that time. I'm willing to look past that, and I understand that's strength of personal growth and allowing God to take care of some wonderful things in my life, and knowing that my wife means well, and she always comes back and makes things right, always 100% of the time. She may not give me my apology always the way that I desire it, but I know that I'm getting it though. So. That's important.
I know, but still, I need to get better at it.
Accepting responsibility is a very important thing to me, period, in life.
So, for Josh, it's so... Oh, you have them.
I have them.
Oh, thanks,
Yeah,
babe.
yeah, you asked me to.
Thank you. For Josh, that's yours.
This one's fine.
So, the accept responsibility, which we were just talking about, he scored a 36% on that. I mean, you might as well just say 50.
You might as well say 50.
Because he got expressing regret 0%.
Because I think people do that fakely and falsely all the time. They want you to feel sorry for
8% is request forgiveness. Now look, make restitution on his is 24%. On mine, it's my high one, and it's only 28%.
We'll look at yours.
So he feels just as strongly about making restitution pretty much as I do, and he even has 2 more above it.
So hang on. All right. So since we're going to talk about hers, so let's just go right there.
I was just using that as the 24%.
You see, the thing is with Christy, she expects apologies in all shapes and forms. Hers is pretty much equal, right? Make restitution.
I don't care about accepting responsibility or expressing regret, but you better make restitution, request forgiveness, and plan a change.
All within the same apology. You better figure it out. I need you to come at me 3 different ways. Needs to be a lengthy
expressing
apology.
regret and accepting responsibility. Expressing regret. Both of us can forget that one.
Yeah, yours is at 8%, so that does mean something to you.
But look at accept responsibility is my second lowest, and yours is that's the top one. So it's like I care about that the least. So
yeah,
it's gonna be the hardest for me to.
Great. Hey, whatever. You know, we understand where we are.
At least we can laugh about it.
We can laugh about it because we know each other's heart, and we work hard towards doing things that doesn't cause us. You know, don't get me wrong. We are highly competitive people. She's like, I'm more competitive than you.
My teeth are better than yours.
That's not what the dentist says.
That is a lie.
Anyway, it's not. And I accept your apology.
Oh my God.
But my point is, we have to understand, like, you know, you have to read your partner, know your partner. And these are things to work on and get better at and have a healthier relationship and grow deeper with. You know, Christy's like listening into these and we're going over these. She's like, oh my gosh, I need to get better at that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do. We have to constantly get better. And in seasons change, the way that we accept, you know, apologies are different. The way that we desire to give them may be different. Christy may in the next couple years end up finding that saying sorry is an easy thing. And now she just is constantly giving apologies away. You know, that may be the truth. And so, and then maybe she will, you know, want apologies done a different form. So, right?
Maybe.
I don't think so. I think that's what that was.
Maybe. You never know.
But apology languages are important. I mean, we talk about love languages and how important it is to each other. One of the most important things we can do in a relationship is apologize to each other.
But in my apology language is the only one that also addresses the love languages too. Mine is the best one.
This is where competitiveness comes in, people. This is where Christian's like, my language is the best language.
It's true. But I would like you guys the listeners, to take this apology and write us, or post it in our group, Christian Couples with Blended Families group, or in the Perfectly Blended group.
On the page.
On the Perfectly Blended page, whatever. Just let us know what it was. I'm just curious of what everybody else's apology languages are. I thought this was interesting. I thought it was really cool that Gary Chapman, I just happened to stumble across it one day when I was doing research and looking up stuff about other things. And I'm like, whoa, what's this?
No, it's good.
And I think I was actually on the 5 love languages page. I was just looking at what all they've been doing and if they've changed it or anything. And then, of course, they have that on there. And I'm like, what is this? So I thought it was really cool. So just let us know what you think about it.
Yeah, and we're going to add this. So if you go to joshandchristy.com, we have a brand new website. We have a bunch of stuff going on there. We actually have a resource tab at the top. And I started adding resources. We're going to add more. We should add this as a resource.
Can we?
Yeah, I can.
Since it's just a free quiz.
Yeah, it just takes them to their website.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not taking ownership of it. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely.
I just don't want to get
out.
in trouble.
Well, no, all the resources are just linking to other stuff.
Okay,
so
good.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll make sure to link to that. So if you go to joshandchristy.com and then at the resources tab, I'll make sure.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'll get it added later today or tomorrow and make it easy for people to find it, because there is some power in this. And Christy will end up writing a blog about this, and this will probably be a really fun blog to do. You should have a quiz tab. I should. Now, we have our own quiz that Christy and I created, that if you haven't had an opportunity to take that, it's really for second marriages. And it's kind of fun, and it's got some informative stuff. So if you haven't had an opportunity to do that, you just go to joshandchristy.com. It's all over our page. At the very top, you can just click on Take Quiz.
But you could have a quiz tab. Awesome. You could have the love language quiz, apology quiz, our quiz.
No, I love that. I think it's I will do that.
That is a fantabulous idea,
that's
Christina.
We're going to say per Christina at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's actually a really good idea. And because quizzes, especially for relationships, I mean, all this stuff
fun.
Is important. Yeah, and it's fun. This is his third and my first. Yeah, see?
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of stuff going on when that's the case. And so when we're talking about relationships.
So you put that together, that means 2.
That means 2. 3 plus 1 is 4. And so it's 2 plus 2. So I'm going to put this up, and I'm liking that comment because I think that's amazing. That's such a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we do our own thing. It's our website. We're allowed to do whatever we want to do with it. So
kind of. As long as nothing's copyrighted.
No, we won't be copyrighting stuff. And that's a whole other thing that you get mixed up when you start creating websites. It's like, sorry, you didn't mean to. Oh, I mean, I apologize, or whatever. However people need to hear it.
No, apologize. And I want to elaborate that on a little bit. Josh is like, Christy doesn't like it. No, for some reason. Okay, I'm going to let you guys in on a secret.
Oh, here we go.
So if I say, I apologize, I really am not sorry. It's easy for me to say I apologize and not mean it, just to get the other person, make the other person feel better, and let them. And I usually do. I don't do it in my personal life. I usually do it at work, but like, I apologize.
I'm a liar at work.
Well, it makes them feel better. But anyway, so it's a personal thing though. So I do not like it if someone looks at me and says I apologize, but it's because of the way that I use it. It's like love you. Somebody might look at me and say love you and actually mean that they actually love me.
I've said that.
But I don't like that.
No, you don't. And I don't do it anymore.
I love you.
It's the Rubik's Cube of relationships.
It's like the K in a text message. You can put the O in front of it. So it's just all the way that we look at things, right?
The K or the letter U, or I don't know. It's all that seems weird.
No, but K.
Weird to me. K is like the middle finger. Like,
I wouldn't go that far.
I do. Man. I don't like that at all. So now you're into it. If you ever text me, that's probably what I'm getting is a K. Because that's what people do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. Go check out the website, joshandchristy.com. I'll make sure to leave it down in the comments if you want to check it out. Don't ever be afraid to say I love you. That's right.
Yeah.
You tell them. So true. I want to thank everybody for being here. Please let us know in the comments if you took the quiz. Let us know.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah. And guess what? We will see you next Tuesday at 7.
Bye.
Bye.